Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm talking about one of the weirdest cards in the Pokemon TCG. I made a video on this card previously and talked about how it was weird, but I'd say it's probably even weirder now. It's a very, very strange card, and it is Lily's, not Lily's Determination. Lily's Determination is not a strange card. I guess it is because it's like super powerful, so you could say that's weird, but it's not that weird. It's also weird that there's Lily's, which is like the Lily's Pokemon. There's Lily's Determination, which obviously is Lily's name, and that's not they have like nothing to do with each other other than obviously representing the same character there. But the weird card is Lily's Clefairy EX. Lily's Clefairy EX is just so strange. And what is the reason for this card being strange, right? First of all, I'll read out what it does. This card was first in Journey Together, and it is obviously, it's Lily's Clefairy EX is the name, meaning that it is a trainer's Pokemon. I believe there are 13, 14, I don't know. There's like a bunch of trainers, and Lily is one of them with the Lily's Pokemon, of which there are, I believe, 4 different Lily's Pokemon, which actually we'll be talking about here a little bit. And so the way that these trainers Pokemon work is that they have a different name, and they have some synergies with each other, essentially. Some have more than others. The Lily's Pokemon definitely have I don't know if I'd say the least, but it might be the least. Let's be honest. Which, as I said, I will talk about because that is also what makes this so strange. For the rest of them, though, you look at like Team Rockets, you look at Marnie's, you look at Ethan's, you look at Cynthia's, and they all have pretty strong synergy with each other. Anyways, then this is also obviously an EX. It is interesting, and I'll just mention this. This is a weird thing. I'd say it would be a lot weirder if we didn't have Meowth EX being a very prominent Pokemon in the game. But this is an EX. Generally, EXs are the final evolution, but here it's not. Here it's Clefairy, obviously. I guess what Lily has a Clefairy or something. I have not. Like I don't know very much about the Pokemon franchise, but there's Lily's. There's actually Lily's Pokédoll as well, which is obviously representative of the Clefairy here. But anyways, that's also a Lily's card, and I guess it's a Lily's Pokemon as well. I don't know if you could attach Lily's Pearl to Lily's Pokédoll. I never thought about that before, but that also like doesn't do anything. So yeah. Regardless, Lily's Clefairy here, obviously Clefairy not a final evolution. So that's like a little weird. In some ways, this is weird. There's actually, I'd say the weirdest Pokemon like this is gonna be the Sprigatito. Oh, Sprigatito EX. Oh, apparently there's this other art of it in Ascended Heroes. No idea why. But this card is strange. It's very bad, and obviously previous evolution. Actually, has more HP than Liz Clefairy EX. It's kind of weird, but anyways, this card's like super, super terrible, and also strange. Liz Clefairy EX is strange for that reason as well, but again, not like horribly strange. So is something worth mentioning. And then it has this ability here. I guess we'll also say it has Metal Weakness and 1 Retreat. The 1 Retreat doesn't matter. The Metal Weakness will matter a little, I guess, because we see this ability here, Fairy Zone. The weakness of each of your opponent's Dragon Pokemon is now Psychic. You apply it as ×2. And of course, this Pokemon is a Psychic Pokemon, right? So this is interesting. That's called Fairy Zone. Of course, the reason for this is because of this mysterious lost time type. If we look at the cards in advanced search, we can see types. You can see all, oops, where is it? Here it is. All the different types. And why is there 11? There should be 10, right? Let's be honest. We all know 10 types is the best and awesome in every way. You should subscribe, by the way. But we see Psychic, and then we see Fairy, right? Fairy is not in Standard. Fairy Energy is not usable in Standard. The most recent card, I guess, apparently is Xerneas EX from Celebrations, but that wasn't legal in Standard, or that version was never actually legal in Standard. We got the baby trio here. We got Togepi and Cleffa and Igglybuff GX. This card is weird. Also, this card is actually super weird, and also I think I recorded a video on it, and it like crashed live, so that was a thing. But anyways, this card uses it has Cleffa on it. I'll pull up an actual Clefairy. Here we go. We got a Clefairy, which actually swaps with Lily's Pokédoll, which is funny, and I forgot about that. This card is okay. I'm going to pull up a card with basic Fairy Energy on it, like a Clefairy. There we go. So we got a Clefairy here, and we see that obviously this is an older card. It's from the Sun and Moon era here, but it uses Fairy Energy, which was a type of Basic Energy, the 9th type of Basic Energy. Currently, we just have 8 because Colorless and Dragon don't have Basic Energy types. And then or basic energy cards, I should say. But then with Clefairy here, we see that it is, it is fairy. Obviously, it's in the name. And then we look at a newer Clefairy, and that card is a psychic type, so it's been shifted, the fairy Pokemon, to the psychic type. And then also we see metal weakness. So if we look at another psychic Pokemon, let's like open up from, say, Perfect Order, we can see like Meowstic here, for example. It is weak to darkness, and so these Pokemon are the fairies are weak to metal, and now the fairy Pokemon in the video game are now psychic in the TCG and weak to metal. So that's how that works. If you didn't know why some Pokemon are weak to some like Pokemon of the same type have different weaknesses, the reason is because they're different types from the video game. And if you have any question on that, you can ask in the comments, and I'll clarify that. I've actually made a whole video on that, maybe two actually. But anyways, you see that that's kind of weird. But obviously that's not what we have in standard, right? We don't have fairy Pokemon. Also, I will say, if you look at a card like oh, a dragon Pokemon, there we go. It's represented by the letter N. We can see, for example, Dragapult EX, obviously a very good card, right? This is ultimately important for those Clefairy EX, but Dragapult EX has no weakness, unlike, let me find a card. I should have pulled this up before, but let's pull up Dragonite GX here. It's weak to Fairy, right? So Dragon Pokemon have had different weaknesses at different points, but currently in Standard they have no weakness. This is part of what makes them so good, I guess. Except with Lotus Clefairy EX, this card is also very good. I didn't say that yet, but Lotus Clefairy EX it's very good, right? Specifically because, I mean, it counters Dragapult, right? Let's be honest. We kind of all know that the reason this card is good is because it counters Dragapult. Dragapult is like very, very, very good, and a little, a little broken there. But ultimately, Lotus Clefairy EX is a way to give weakness back to the Dragon Pokemon and bring that fairy typing back to the TCG. That's why it's psychic and called Fairy Zone. So that's kind of weird though, because it's bringing back this like older thing, but it's cool. It's a reference, I guess. Obviously, I don't know why they're bringing back this like fake type of fairy, but that's not my problem. I mean, yes, it is my problem, but it's not your problem. Then we have the attack though, and this is where things get really weird because you look at this card, you're like, oh well, it's like a little weird with this bringing back this old type. It's like a reference, and it's a little bit weird being a preview, but whatever, makes sense. And then you look at the attack Full Moon Rondo. For Psychic Colorless, it's just 20 more for each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent. So obviously you want a big bench here. And this is actually where things get, I don't know, you probably don't know this, but you might know this. There are, as I said, 4 Lily's Pokemon. There's Lily's Cutie Fly, which evolves to Lily's Rabombi here. This one with Inviting Wink, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you can look at your opponent's hand, input any number of Pokemon, or basics, I suppose, you find there onto their bench. And then you have Lily's Comfy here. Lily's Comfy has the attack Inviting Flowers. You may search your deck for any number of basic Lily's Pokemon, reveal and put them onto your bench and shuffle, and fade out for 1 Psychic. Lily's Pokemon, all cards attached to it into your hand. I just want to quickly rant about Lily's Comfy, because I guess Lily's Rabombi, this is like kind of a control card. I have not played this card. I might have. I don't know. It's very bad, though. Anyways, it can disrupt, and the idea is it gets Pokemon onto your opponent's bench, which then Lily's Clefairy EX will do more damage for that reason. And Lily's Comfy gets more Pokemon on your bench, and then Lily's Clefairy EX does more damage. That's the idea there. If you didn't know that, that is the idea. The idea is to like support Lily's Clefairy EX and then like attack with it and stuff. Obviously, it's bad, right? So people don't do that. People play Lily's Clefairy EX a lot. Lily's Comfy, I've not seen played, I don't think. I don't think I've seen Lily's Rabombi played. I have seen Lily's Pearl played though. Lily's Pearl is another Lily's card, I guess. It supports the Lily's Pokemon, saying that if Lily's Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, that player takes 1 for your prize card. Again, this is damage from an attack, and from your opponent's Pokemon as well. The biggest thing is damage from an attack. So if Dragapult EX knocks us out on the bench using damage counters, or if it's knocked out with Dusknoir, I guess also by Dragapult EX probably, or something like that. There's just a lot of different things that can knock this out and get around this. Not like so many in an actual game, but there are a bunch of circumstances that do exist, which people get confused about like all the time. But anyways, with those things, if those happen, this won't trigger. I will say I think this card is like kind of underrated in Lily's. I mean, I don't play Lily's Clefairy EX too much, to be honest, but this card is quite nice there. Then we have Lily's Comfy here, and Lily's Comfy is, Fade Out is so weird. So it's a hit and run style attack, which if you're not familiar, this is a Pokemon that goes and then switches with one of your bench Pokemon. Obviously, the idea there, the reason why that can be good is the fact that this allows you to switch into something else, and presumably something that is better to get a hit into. And you look at that and you're like, which Liz Pokemon would be better to get hit into? Well, not Liz Clefairy EX, right? That card's not tanky. It has 190 HP, very low, as I said, less than Sprigatito EX there. And it's a two-prizer, right? So it has more HP than the other Pokemon, but it's a two-prizer. I guess theoretically you could switch into that and then attack with it or something. I don't know if that's the idea there. That's not a very good idea, but it could be the idea there. Then you look at, obviously, you have the fact that you can switch out into a non-Liz Pokemon, because you don't want to switch into the Liz or Bombi line. I guess that's for your treat, but it has literally the same HP, and so it's not very good. But then the idea is that you can switch into something better, like, say, a wall Pokemon, a Pokemon that, say, doesn't take damage or doesn't give up any prizes. Like Lily's Comfy if you attach to Lily's Pearl. So the Pokemon you actually want to switch out into is probably Lily's Comfy with Lily's Pearl on it. So but you're switching out of that. So it's so strange. It's so backwards. It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, want to rant about that real quick. However, you got the Lily's package going on there, and the deck is silly and strange. But this is where the weirdness truly begins, because, as I said, there's a bunch of kind of weird stuff. But this card is actually part of a trio, or like quad. But what's the term for that? I don't know. Quartet, I guess. Because if we look at the attack, it's full Moon Rondo, 20 more for each bench Pokemon. Now, if we look up text Rondo, we see some Pokemon. Wait, what? Okay, so apparently there's a few more Pokemon than I realized. There is Erica's Victory Bell, which actually kind of is similar, doing damage based on Erica's Pokemon play, but it's not both yours and your points. It's not the same thing. Marvel V-Star has Star Rondo. This is an ability, but that's fine. Hatterene has Witch Rondo, same thing with an ability. Actually very similar to Mawile there. And then Prima Rondo is just like an attack. But anyways, then we have these three. We got Entei V, Suicune V, and Raikou V, the legendary beasts with Burning Rondo. We have Blizzard Rondo, and we have Lightning Rondo. These do for 2 energy, obviously one of their type, and 1 colorless. It does 20 more for each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. Yeah, that's the same as Liz Clefairy EX. So these, and they have the same attack name, right? So, or they're not the exact same name, but a similar name. Obviously, they all have the same ability, Fleet-footed, on the 3 legendary beast Vs there, but we see a very obviously different ability on Liz Clefairy EX. But again, clearly they are supposed to be like the same attack. So why is this card referencing these 3? I don't know. And then you look at these 3 as a trio, and Entei V in Brilliant Stars, Raikou V in Brilliant Stars, Suicune V in Evolving Skies. It literally has a different regulation mark than Raikou V and Entei V, which again have both rotated at this point a while ago, right? These have rotated over a year ago, and Suicune V's been rotated for over 2 years, and Liz Clefairy EX is in the same like group as these 3. It's so strange. I honestly don't know what to say about this. If anyone has some lore reason for this or something, I guess tell me. But this is just so bizarre. It's just such a weird callback here. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, in some ways they're played in similar like toolbox style decks, which is cool, I guess. I don't even know what to say at this point, to be honest. It's so weird. The other 3 are Vs. This one's an EX. It's just so weird. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video here on this kind of weird, bizarre card. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, huge shout out to my YouTube members. I really appreciate everything you do, and I hope everyone enjoyed. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.